Just did as an example. He did it as an example. Look at this. And he said, if they don't believe those first two signs, which they won't, but I'm not going to tell you that, then turn the river into blood, blah, blah, blah. All right? And then Moses said, but Lord, I'm not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servants, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. That is the most eloquent way to freaking say I don't know how to talk right. Like, I don't know how to speak well. That's hilarious. I am not eloquent. And then guess what God says? Who hath made man's mouth? Or maketh the dumb, or the deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. Now, usually, I read this passage, and I go, man, that's good. God is good. He gives you exactly what you need at the perfect time for you to be able to execute his will, and he will, protect you in the process, right? Keep you in good health. He gives you the words to say. He'll protect you from harm and danger of, the serpent. It didn't attack him. The leprosy. He's saying, I'm going to keep you in good health. The, not being able to speak well. He said, I'm going to give you the words. At what point? At what point is it not God? And is it like God is the giant puppet master, and here's Moses, and here's Pharaoh, and this is just a story that God's making everything happen. That's the part that's confusing to me, because he's saying, however you are, that's how he wanted you to be. Good or bad, righteous or sinful. Why? And you can't tell me I misinterpreted the passage, because they coincide with each other. Romans and Exodus both conclusively say, and that's not the only passage. I could give you Job, right? In Job, here, I'm gonna go to it. I'm gonna find it, because I feel like if I don't reference these passages, then it's gonna create unnecessary commentary in the comment section, and then it's just gonna be left, and people will just, probably, I don't know, discount my opinion. It doesn't matter. I'm here in search of truth. Job. All right. Now, God doesn't talk very much at the end of Job. I actually want to skip to the end, though. I know at the beginning, people, they say basically God made a bet with the devil to see how good Job could be, and then, killed his entire family and all his livestock, and that's still cruel for God to kill his entire family, even though he gave him technically a better family after that. It's still very traumatic, and all because he wanted to try to test to see if he was gonna, like, what the limits were for how loyal he would be to God. I don't know, because it's God, we call it good, but if it was a person on earth, we probably call that a little sick and sadistic. There's evidence that you could compile on both sides, and the goal is to get to where do we sit in this place in the universe. I'm not trying to collect evidence to show that God is cruel. I'm trying to collect evidence to show that God is purposeful, and that somewhere in all of this, I fit in. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to figure out God. I'm not trying, because it's impossible to understand. I'm not trying to justify my life or the lives of anyone else that or anything like that. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm trying to understand it so I can know how to go about it. Should I try to change it? What parts should I try to change? What parts in my life should I focus on the most? What is my calling? What is my mission? How should I go about it? Because I don't understand. All of the data that I've collected in my own life suggests that people are incapable of changing, and that I am only the way I am based on the many gifts that God has given me to be a certain way so that I can do certain things that He wants me to do. Not everybody has a change the world mentality. I've asked multiple people what their New Year's resolutions were this year, and they just told me, live more stress-free. Let's be less anxious. Just become better over time. I'm like, okay, well, what measurable goals have you set this year? What are you trying to shoot for? What's your threshold for success? Because success is hit a benchmark, set the next one, hit a benchmark, set the next one. But that's natural. You're supposed to set benchmarks and exceed them. Nobody I know personally does that. Now, there are people out there, obviously, on the internet who are wired like that. And I'm wired like that. But I find it very interesting that I've never found someone who was not wired like that start doing that. I've never seen someone who wasn't like that. I never found someone who was like that stop doing that. Like, they always have this empty void of, I'm not doing enough. And the people that are seriously content are always just like, man, that's not for me. They always are like, that's not for me. That's too much. Job. This is an interesting one, right? Because it's quite. This is it's kind of cute. God is saying to he's giving him a supernatural vision of all of the beautiful creatures that God has made, the very particular ones. It says, Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Can you number the months that they fulfill? Here, I'm gonna read this in New International. Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you watch when the doe bears her fawn? Do you count the months till they bear? Do you know the time they give birth? They crouch down and bring forth their young, and their labor pains are ended. Their young thrive and grow into the wilds, and they leave and do not return. Who let the wild donkey go free? Who untied its ropes? I gave it the wasteland as its home, the salt flats as its habitat. It laughs at the commotion in the town. It does not hear a driver's shout. It ranges the hills for its pasture and searches for any green thing. Will the wild ox consent to serve you? Will it stay by your manger at night? Can you hold it to the furrow with a harness? Will it till the valleys behind you? Will you rely on it for its great strength? Will you leave your heavy work to it? Can you trust it to haul in your grain and bring it to your threshing floor? He's saying that, the ox is naturally stubborn. You can't make it work. It's big and strong, and he's going to do what he wants. The donkey, he's naturally just so prideful and just, endearingly carefree. The mountain goats, you don't know anything about when they give birth. All you know is they up there in the mountains and they straight and they taken care of. Here's the one. The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully, though they cannot compare with the wings and the feathers of the stork. She lays her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, unmindful that a foot may crush them, that some wild animal may trample them. She treats her young harshly, as if they were not hers, and she cares not that her labor was in vain, for God did not endow her with wisdom, nor give her a share of good sense. Yet when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at horse and rider. It says in the King James, but God, because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding, what time he lifteth her up herself on high. Saying, yo, the ostrich, you're not supposed to be smart. You're not supposed to understand what you're doing. You're supposed to be a dumb animal to a certain extent. You're supposed to be carefree. Do you understand these animals? You don't know anything about these animals. I do. I made them the way they are. So I got one passage saying, yo, God made the deaf, dumb, and the blind the way they are. Now I got another passage saying, yo, I made these animals and they stupid. Some of them I made stupid on purpose. And then we got another passage saying, I've put blindness over Israel so they will not understand the gospel. It will be a stumbling block. Jesus will be a stumbling block to them, and they will never understand until all the Gentiles are grafted in. On purpose. And then you got another passage saying that that God hardens who he will harden, and he will have mercy on whom he will have mercy. So he's saying, like, yo, whether or not you have the spirit of wisdom is entirely up to God. Whether or not your heart is able to receive is entirely up to God. Whether or not you can rationally think and be like, bro, what am I doing here? Nothing I'm doing here makes sense. It's up to God. A lot of people are living years in filth and they can't even detect it. Let alone they have the sense to do something about it. So in 2024, I've spoken to a lot of homeless people. I've spoken to people that have been in the same place for years on end. I've spoken to a lot of people who I feel like who are at an age where they should probably take more responsibility for their future and set large goals with the level of intelligence that they have. If you're very intelligent, you should be doing and solving high-level problems, creating on a high level, executing on a high level, pursuing high-level opportunities. Why not? Why isn't everybody pursuing high-level opportunities? I don't know. Why am I wired to pursue high-level opportunities? I don't know. In fact, if I wasn't oriented naturally to do music, like I tell people this all the time, I do not make music. I transcribe music. Music hits me. I do my best to create it using my intelligence. I follow the feeling until it has been followed through. And I pick up the details of what makes it good. I study it. I'm like, yo, this element of this song is what makes this song so good. Like I surgically extract and try to digest and understand what makes good music good so I can make good music, and what makes bad music bad so I can not make bad music. But ultimately, I don't really know. It's all a feeling in here that I don't have control over. So I say that to say I can never coach anyone into being me. I always had the ear. My sister, unfortunately, she has the voice, but she does not have the ear. So she can strum a guitar, and I can tell you, I hear each individual note on the guitar, and she's like, oh, no, I don't. And I have to tell her, look, change your position on your fingers. I don't know how to play guitar, but I know that this string is causing that note, and if you move it up to, then it's going to change that note, and it's going to sound much cleaner in the chord. Whatever, for this specific. And it could be, I hear that, but no one taught me to be able to hear that. I come up with these ideas for videos. I come up with these ideas for songs. I come up with these ideas. I have a calendar on my wall. Every year of my life that I can recall, I've made a calendar to try to improve my life on a grand scale. I've conspired to do big things since I was young. No one taught me how to be good in front of a camera. Not maybe I'm not good in front of a camera. I don't know. No one's. I mean, I I picked everything up over time, but I was pre-wired to pick all these things up. Does that make sense? And I was irritated the entire time by all the people around me who didn't understand. I was made fun of in school for, emulating people's accents. As soon as I heard them, I'm like, oh wow, you have a very interesting accent. I like that. I like how you talk. I like the way, the tonality of how you talk. I want to emulate what you are sounding like. It's very interesting. I don't know how you are talking like that, but I want to emulate more. Or like, I like, I watch YouTubers and they're really interesting, but you know, this is not a talent show. What I'm saying is, everything that I am is entirely up to God. I didn't do this. And therefore, I had a concert earlier. I had a concert earlier in July 12th, 2024. I had my very first concert. God allowed 100 people who never heard my music, because I didn't release any of it because it wasn't up to standard, to show up to my concert. God blessed me to be able to actually have people show up to my concert, because I got a lot of people that were close to me in my church to actually help out. They came to rehearsals. I called someone last minute. I said, yo, I don't know how many people are showing up, but could you bring pizza? People started showing up. We had to get double the amount of pizza. And then, we were able to pay him out of the sales from the candy at the concert. People were actually showing up. People actually spent their money with us. I didn't anticipate any of that, because they don't even know who I am. They know about me, but I had a very small percentage of those people who actually knew who I was. None of the songs that I performed at the concert were even out, except for Next, Winning Guaranteed, and I didn't even do Sauce or any of my other songs. That was it. And it was only the first 2 songs at the concert that I performed. Every other song during that concert, I hadn't released yet. So, and they surely haven't heard them, most of it. A lot of them didn't even listen to hip hop. Why did they get tickets to my concert? I don't know. But I'm 19 and I had my first concert. I'm 20 now. After my concert, I go into this weird depression where I'm trying to figure out, why was I allowed to have a concert? Why isn't every single 19-year-old that I know doing something on this level or bigger or comparable, dedicating that much effort in their lives to a singular goal and purpose that creates massive change in the world? Why? Why me? Why not everyone? And the other thing is, God has intervened so many, it all connects. God has intervened in my life so many times in the short 20 years of my life that I've been here. I know He's real. He's revealed to me from a young age that He's not only here, He's active, He's present. He hears me. Every time I have deep questions, I come to Him and He answers them within a week. 3 signs He will give to me within a few days after I call out earnestly to Him. Sometimes that same day, He'll have someone who has a message just for me. I will be doubting myself, and God will send someone specifically to prophesy over me, saying that He's not done with me, that I'm not alone. This has happened so many times. People have come out of nowhere. It's like, hey, I know you. God has chosen you. They will anoint my head with oil, and they will say, God will use you for great things. And that resonates deeply with me. But I've always been like that. And I can't tell you how many other people I know who never experienced anything like that. Like, they just don't have that. Like, why would they believe in God? They don't even know why they're here. It's easier for me to believe in God because I've always been different. I've never been able to fit in. The only restitute that I was able to have in my short 20 years of life have been from God. I kid you not. I didn't even have an opportunity to even get into anything worldly because it immediately became the worst possible circumstance version of it, and I have to run back to God immediately. Like, and I could give you example after example, but like I was the kid growing up that I could do the smallest thing and get the maximum punishment for it. And there'll be other kids who literally do way worse all the time and don't care. Like I see their hypocrisy, and they get no punishment, and their teachers favor them, or their whatever. The people in their circle seem to just love them so much, and I get so much social outcast. Why? I don't know. But you see my point though. I can't be like everyone else. I'm predestined, I assume, for honor and glory. And the thing that concerns me is like, well, that means that if there's people who are predestined for glory and people who are predestined for destruction, why am I even going out doing anything? Like, everyone's already going to get their pre-assigned path carved for them, and you're going to intervene so that they walk that path regardless of how well I perform. Because guess what? I probably promoted my concert for 3 weeks leading up to the concert, and all I did was just call a bunch of people and send people a link to get the tickets. Like, this year's concert is going to be way bigger, because I'm actually going to have the music out, I'm going to have a social media following, and I'm actually going to be able to, and I learned from the mistakes of the first concert, it's going to have at least 500 people. But that's my effort. But the thing is, I know that the amount of effort that I put in to get the first concert was negligible compared to the actual turnout of the initial concert. So I know it was 100% God, right? So then I'm here so that God can use me to execute his purposes and display his glory through me. Why? But the reason why I'm upset is because everyone else in the world is doing the exact same thing. If you are of the world and you have a spirit of blindness put over you, and you cannot understand the message of the gospel, and you have been brought up in such a way to where your mind cannot understand Jesus because he is laid at your feet as a stumbling block that you may not receive the message, and you will not receive the divine inspiration. And I don't want to sound arrogant or pretentious or anything like that, but like, I've experienced it, so I categorize myself, and I'm organizing this information. So like, if I'm one of the chosen, if I'm one of the elect, if I'm one of the called, I have all the evidence to believe in Jesus. But if there's someone else who isn't called, they have none of the evidence to believe in Jesus, why do I get a reward in the end and they get punished when everything that we do is all predetermined and it's all for his glory? You saw Pharaoh was living in sin, hardened his heart, didn't listen to God, and God did that on purpose so he could get the glory. Then you have the prophets who listen to God and are the instrument. Moses and Pharaoh are literally in the same boat. They both do what God called them to do and gave God glory as a result. Does that make sense? I can put this down now. They literally did exactly what they were supposed to do. But Moses is seen as this righteous prophet, and Pharaoh is seen as this arrogant, bigoted, prideful sinner. But God planned the whole thing. So that's the loophole in the Bible, if you will. I'm not trying to advertise atheism. I've been born and raised a Christian my entire life. I mean, I wouldn't know as much scripture as I do if I wasn't dedicating my life to this stuff. Probably. There's probably someone else who knows more scripture than me, but just doesn't think about it the same way because they're not pre-wired to have the same conclusions that I would draw, because they don't have the same background as me, because they don't have the same calling as me, talents as me, thought processes as me, and therefore they will not draw the conclusions I draw and not live the life I live. So I say that to say, I don't understand my purpose in the world because other people are literally just doing what they're supposed to do. I'm doing literally just what I'm supposed to do. I'm not breaking the mold. I'm not changing the world. I'm not making people. I used to genuinely believe there's a technological advancement that could actually stop permanently all people from being evil to each other for the rest of eternity. Like there's AI infused with the Bible app, infused with like, you know, they could like the AI can talk to you and actively reason with you throughout all day, every single day, so that you can not have trauma, so that you can actually believe in Jesus, give your life to Christ, and have the belief and purpose in your own and faith in order to live life, so that you can be good to everyone around you. Like I genuinely think that there's just this utopian society where everybody is good to each other, and there's uh, basically heaven on earth, which is the goal, right? But it seems to me that the goal right now isn't heaven on earth, but earth maintained as it is until God brings heaven to earth. Because people don't, I'm sorry, I've never seen a person actually change. They just live a different version of themselves out. They're motivated to just live out a different version of themselves. Like that was technically already there. And then if they, all right, good night. I love you. I love you too. I'm gonna come in a second. And then I'm gonna be so honest with y'all. Like this is why it's really bothering me. God, I was allowed to have this much success. Not that much success. I mean, I made $1,000 from a show, right? That took me 6 months. So technically, if you spread that out, like that's, $1,000 over 6 months is like below minimum wage. That's not that impressive. In the music industry, probably, but no. And then like I gave 100 to the homeless, and I gave 100 to the church. So, and then I gave like 300 to pay one of the people that helped out, and then I used the rest to eat until I could get a job to invest in myself fully, whatever. But like, and I don't know why I said that. Maybe it matters. Let me be so honest with y'all, because I mean it's in my music. Like this isn't a secret, and it's not like it's the most like flipping. I don't know. I used to think it was the biggest thing. Like if it ever got out, my whole career was ruined. But whatever. I'm gonna be honest the whole time. I started watching porn when I was 12 years old. If you don't know what pornography is, don't look it up. It's the worst. It's the worst possible thing you could do. If depending on how you're wired, is the worst possible thing for you to ever stumble across. And if you don't know what it is, it's human breeding documentaries, and those are specifically designed to substitute your the hole in your heart that is companion based, temporarily leaving you empty afterward and running right back to it. And it's an addiction. Let me be completely honest. At least every week since I was 12, and I discovered it right after my parents divorced. And I'm 20 now, and I'm still struggling with it. I'm being completely honest. It's been off and on, but every year, I'm telling myself, this is the last year. No more. I fail every single year, every single month. I hate the fact that I just called it I failed. I don't even say, oh man, I watched people on this video. It's like I set a goal not to do that, and then I do. And it hurts every single time. Like I can't tell you how many Sundays I sing at my church, and I sing on stage, and then I get off stage and I cry because I feel like such a hypocrite. And and everything else in my life, it's just like natural. Just, you know what I'm saying? If I choose to put my hand to it, I do it and I do it well. Not this. Not this. This is the one thing in my life that if I didn't have any other struggles, people would probably think I'm just a superhuman, bro. You know, if you ever met a perfect person, I don't know. I feel like there's a few of them out there where they're just naturally good at everything. No controversies, no drama. They just lovable. They're God fearing. They're great at what they do. They're friends with everybody. That's a good person. They're respectful. They take care of their family. They take care of their community. They're charitable. They just have the it factor. Everything about them, you just like jealous. Like, why are you the way you are? And then you ask them, and they're just like, man, I'm just trying to be a humble contributor to the world. And you're just like, man, F that. What is it for real? It's like, you know, I just love God and I just want to give back to the world. Like, what's the real thing, bro? Like, why are you, you know? No, sorry, I hate to say like F that. But like, I feel like, and like that's kind of my goal of like the type of person I want to be. Is just like just pristine righteous man. I've never. I'm not gonna say that. Ooh. I've never met one of those people. No, no. I've met people like that. Those people that they've been married for 30 to 50 years, dedicated their life to Christ. They're loved in their community. They give to their community. They're pretty well off. They preach. They teach. They encourage. They impart. They empower. They build in the community. I want to be like one of those people, you know. But I know I can't have a good marriage if I still have this struggle, right? And there have been times where I'm genuinely just like, yo, this desire that I have to go online and watch these disgusting pieces of media. And bro, I remember when I was 12, I was like, man, all these people on here are like adults, like, oh, it's like they were just so. I felt a huge disconnect between me and them because I was like, they're super old. Like, this feels like just I'm being exposed to stuff that's just foreign to me. But now I'm on these sites and I'm like, these people are my age, bro, and younger now. It feels like I feel like wrong for watching it on a completely separate level, like a completely separate level. I'm like, the people on these sites are now my age and younger, and I'm like, I could never. Like, what state does your mind have to be in? Because like, where are you? Like, it feels like I'm watching people who are being taken advantage of. For profit by these corporations, this $1 trillion industry. And they'll get used for 5 to 8 to 10 years if they're lucky. Make their quick money, and then they'll never have a place in normal society. Where they can feel like they can come to Christ or, be a part of a real community like that again. And then meanwhile, you got millions of relationships just on the rocks, just being corrupted from the roots up because of it. And I'm one of them. I feel like my life is being corrupted as a result of this disease of pornography. And then in the midst of this, there have been times where I look up to God and I'm like, this desire that I have is so foreign to me and who I really feel like I am and what I actually am aspiring to be and who I actually want to become. And I ask God, like, why am I like this? And I go back to Romans 9, where it says, if you ask God, why hast thou made me thus? And you are asking against God. And I'm like, surely that's not what you mean. Surely you don't want me to keep this. You want me to be free from this, right? You want me to be free from this, right? Because if not, then I'm no better than anyone else. Like, not that I want to be better than anyone else, but I want everyone to get better, and I have hope that everyone has the ability to change fundamentally. But I have a mom, and I don't want to expose her like that, but she's been the same person for the last since I got here. And there's a reason that my parents divorced. Both of my parents are pretty much the same people that they've always been. But there's some areas in both of them that, you know, I fundamentally wish would be different. And I've not seen them change over the years much. They've slowly shifted, you know, everybody shifts to just different aspects of what ultimately makes up their personality, but they're the exact same people that they've always been. And some people have asked them to change certain areas and do different things, and they would not. And there's a lot of hard conversations over the years that you guys have not seen, and I've been making content also since I was 12. So you don't hear the arguments in the backgrounds of all of those videos, which is hilarious to me because it's like it makes it seem like I have such a glamorous life and like 12 years old. And there's some people whose lives will genuinely, I'm like, bro, y'all, how do y'all have such production value for such a, you know, how is your house this clean, you know? I'm scared that I'm stuck. I'm scared that I'm stuck like this for the rest of my life. And if I'm scared, I'm not only scared that I'm just gonna be stuck like this for the rest of my life, but I'm scared that the whole world's gonna be stuck the exact same way that it is. Because even if I manage to change myself, I am one of the chosen ones, and it was such a struggle for me to overcome that addiction. That what chance does does a Gentile? What chance does someone who's of the world? What chance does someone who doesn't have the same IQ, doesn't have the same upbringing, doesn't have the same intrinsic place there by God, desire in his heart to do something meaningful with their lives and connect with real people and have real blessings and relationships, and doesn't get the direct messages from God from since they were a kid, and doesn't have the reinforcement from people prophesying over their lives, and doesn't have the reinforcement from every time they ever tried to interact with the world, they were immediately shut down because they couldn't fit in, because they were not called to be of that crowd. But they just are separate from all of that. And they still have to put aside these worldly addictions and just put aside these toxic behaviors and aspire for something greater in life. You know, we see all the news all the time. Stocks, probably inflation's getting worse, government corrupt. Nobody wants to sign up to be a governor. You see, the government's corrupt, but nobody wants to be in the government to fix the corrupt government, including myself. If I was not in music, I would be a governor or a president. You know, or a judge. We see the world needs fixing. We see what the problems are, and they already have